without my sister randomly messaging me, I don't know if I would have been here.
In today's episode, I had the opportunity to sit down and chat to the amazing Charlie Hacker, and I've probably said this about every single episode that I've recorded, but this one was a lot of fun. Yes, we talk about some of the really difficult struggles that Charlie's faced.
Possibly one of the worst years that I've ever had.
But we were able to have a little bit of fun as well and have a laugh.
If we were in a club, I'd be chewing your ear off telling you that I could have gone pro.
Yeah. We talked a lot about the tools and the things that we've been able to implement into our own life to make dealing with those hard things a little less hard. Whether it be fitness or mindset or how we've managed to build resilience to keep finding ways to move forward. There are so many practical things that you can take out of this episode that I really think that you could maybe implement into your own life to help you deal with your own struggles. Whether you're going through something difficult yourself or you just want to build resilience so that when life does throw those curveballs at you and those difficult moments, you're better equipped to be able to deal with it. If you've been enjoying the episodes and you don't already, I really appreciate it if you could subscribe. But as always, please like this episode. If you think that you know somebody that could benefit from it, do me a favor and send it to them. And if you enjoy this episode, drop us a comment. All of these things really help us. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. This is Charlie Hacker on Maybe This Helps.
Before I made the jump to this, I was working up and down in Cornwall, Manchester, driving 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
Just listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I had exactly the same feeling, which was, I don't feel like I'm actually contributing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like there is the job itself to go and do work, especially because it was like I was an electrician doing like fitting CCTV cameras and things like that. It just didn't fulfill me the way that I wanted it to. And then I was constantly thinking and already listening to fitness stuff, already listening to or kind of mental health stuff, like psychology stuff. And in my brain, I was like, I feel like I'd have a better impact doing this. Similar to you, I imagine, with this.
Yeah, it kind of is, mate. It's funny you say that, like you were driving listening to podcasts, so like literally
was what you do.
50% of my job is driving, right? Yeah. So like I'll be driving, listening to a podcast, and as we were saying before this started going, I was going to people I knew for answers. They didn't have the answers, but then I was listening to podcasts and I was listening to other people talk about their situations, and it was giving me all the information I was, whether I knew it or not, that's what I was searching for. Yeah. And it would be just like, it might be like a little snippet from a 2-hour conversation, and it's just that one little snippet would then lead me down a bit of a path of, oh, do you know what, I'm going to try that. Yeah. And then I'd be like, oh, actually, yeah, I feel better for doing that. And then it was like, oh, I'm going to listen to a bit more of their stuff or whatever it may be. And yeah, it was just mad out. And even probably for you, like it's easy when you say it back, it seems like it happens really, really quick. Yeah. But like, as I said to you, mate, it was like, it's still a process for me, and it's been like 5 years. Yes. Right? Yeah. So like, and I don't know, you might agree or disagree, but I've got to a point now where I feel that I'm on a track and I don't know if I'll ever get off it. Like
in what way?
In a sense of like constantly wanting to find new answers, progress, grow, and just evolve. As cringy as that may sound.
No, I think I've had conversations with people, and we've said, when you're in a room with either family or even friends to some degree, people that think differently to you, it can feel like you're almost like the black sheep of the family, that people don't get you or you're not understood. And I think when you do go through that period of listening to podcasts and then you go deep into things and it gives you answers. Yeah. I've had family members go, you're too deep. I'm like, but that is me. And without going deep, I don't know if I'd have come out of the hole I was in, you know? And I think that's why I'm exactly the same thing, which is if there's an answer or I'm struggling with something, I want to figure that out.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get to a point where they're like, oh, I don't know the answer, so they just stop.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I'm a little bit obsessive, and I will continuously play scenarios in my head trying to figure out the answer. And that's what I did for a long time. Until then, things like podcasts and stuff become like very at our fingertips. And it was so easy to not necessarily find the answer, but find at least the conversation.
Yes.
And the conversation would spark new little ideas or new little ways of thinking about it that then I would either figure out myself or find someone or meet yourself or whatever it may be, right? I think it's mad, mate, how that sort of stuff plays out. But anyway, right, we're rolling. Sorry. And no. I appreciate you doing this, mate. Thank you.
No, it's great.
I think for full transparency, for anyone listening or watching this, we don't know each other at all. Yeah. I think you just followed the podcast page. I guess, did you see it through like Reese or?
I saw it through Beyond the Chair. And then saw it come through that, and I was like, I just think it's such a great thing.
Yeah, sick,
that was my kind of gateway into it.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, and then obviously I just reached out to you, and it's great. Here we are, man. But I'll be honest. So it turns out like we got quite a few like mutual friends or whatever, and that sort of thing. But when you first followed me, I think I went on to your page. And then I seen that you were like posting like some running stuff and gym stuff. And I was just like, oh, like that stuff I'm sort of into. Yeah. So like, I followed you. And then like a couple of weeks ago, you posted about like the bro sesh stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, like as soon as you posted that, then I seen that you've got like your YouTube channel and like different bits. And I was like, oh mate, like why have I not reached out to this guy? Yeah. So literally, that was it. But I think if you're happy to, mate, I'd love to genuinely, like personally, I want to know more about the bro sesh and how that come about. And if you're happy to sort of start there and then we'll just see where this goes.
So the bro sesh, funnily enough, so James and me who are running it here, James was the one who approached me about it because the whole time I've been doing this, so I've been doing PT stuff for like 5 years, and we have say 6 or 7 coaches in here. And everyone seems to have their own little niche to some degree. Okay. Mine's always been more around kind of mental health and well-being and supporting people who seem to just struggle a bit more than others. And I think through me and James, when he first started coming here, we connected straight away. And it's always something that's been on my mind because I saw probably a year ago, long story short, one of my goals is to create like a wellbeing company.
That's it.
And within that, I want to be able to take the idea of a men's group and implement it into businesses. So go into businesses and just kind of set that up and help them do that. So it's always been on my radar. And when James approached me about it, I was like, it's such a good idea because I think listening back to Reese's episode, for example, he was saying there's people who really want to come, but kind of are afraid to take that first step. And when James approached me, he was like, I don't want this to be something which feels intense. Yeah. He was like, I want this to be something which is like, come and have a chat. And that if there's things you want to talk about, you can talk about it.
100%.
And the way we're going to run it is we'll have like a workout that we'll all do, but there'll be prompts. Yeah. So if you do want to chat to someone about something, there's 3 or 4 prompts you can use to kind of get the conversation flowing. Because I think it can be quite difficult. I think it's scary when you're sat in a circle. That's really daunting. Now, because like, how did you find it when you first went to the like Beyond the Chair thing?
I think what helped with Beyond the Chair, the way that Reese did it is he tries to get a guest speaker in. So first like 3 weeks, the first 2 weeks, Reese did it so like he was the main talker in effect. Yep. Reese spoke for about half an hour about everything he struggled with, he's been through, he is struggling with. And then off the back of that, everybody, a natural organic conversation just started to flow. And then people were like, oh yeah, like I struggle with this, or that's similar to what I've been through, or whatever it may be. And then everyone just started to like chip in and put their 2 pence in, but in the nicest possible way.
Yeah.
Week 2, George spoke, and then Reece said sort of from the first week, if anybody wants to speak, let us know. So then the 3rd week, I was like, oh, bro, like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you sure? And I was like, mate, yeah, like, I'm happy to just chat about it. Like, it's no biggie. And for me, when I talk about whatever I've been dealing with, helps me process it, and it helps me unjumble everything in my head, and it sort of helps me like get it into like a timeline so that I'm able to process better.
Yeah.
And mate, truthfully, like I've said this many times, but like I was sat to cry my eyes out, mate, and like I needed to, but like it's funny, like, I can laugh now, but looking back, like mate, there was like some of the other boys in the room were crying, and like right, and like
it's how good though.
Yeah, mate, it's so good, and like for one of the first times in my life, genuinely, I felt understood.
Yeah.
Like it felt as if I was just in an environment where people wanted to talk about the deep, dark nitty-gritties of life.
Yeah. Which is different to normal life, because people don't. People are. I think people are afraid to go into those conversations because it's the vulnerability side of it, right?
100%. And I kind of get it, because like, I don't know, say for example, me and you met at a pub and we're going to have a beer. If me and you start to sit there crying our eyes out, do you know? And like, as much as there's nothing wrong with that, socially, I can understand why that wouldn't sort of be everyone's cup of tea, right? But if you go somewhere specifically that's enabled for nobody is going to judge you, it's a nice, quiet, controlled environment. If you need to do that, then do that.
Yeah.
It helped me.
It's healing. I think it's healing because it's like, so when they set up like a therapeutic relationship, one of the things is it's like non-judgmental and it's unconditional positive regard, which is like, I want the best for this person. And when you're in a room surrounded by people who are all there because either they're struggling or they're there to support, it is that unconditional positive regard of, well, whatever this guy's going through, I don't want him to be going through that, so I want to support him as he goes through that.
I think as well, like for me, like the thing that I like about Beyond the Chair is Reece and George, they're not professionals. Like nobody there has it figured out. Like, and it's like, we all just sit there and collectively, like somebody might be like, oh, I listened to this podcast this week and it kind of ties in, and then they'll be like, oh, actually, yeah, that sounds good, I'm going to go listen to that. Or I'll be like, oh, mate, like I read this book last week and this and that. And it's just, you know, like I'm able to turn around and be like, look, mate, I can say that I understand what you're going through because I don't, but I listened to this or I read this, I think it might help you. Just go and check it out. And then like 2 weeks later, they'll come back and be like, oh, Josh, mate, it sounded like I listened to that podcast and yeah, you're right, like it did help. That's just like, I could help that guy. Do you know what I mean? And then I feel better for that. Yeah. Like, it's the weird thing of, I don't know, I don't know if everyone needs this, but I'm definitely like an empathetic person. And I just naturally don't want to see people feel shit. Like, if I can help them not feel that, then I feel a bit better. And
it's like what you said though, like when you talk about what you're going through, it helps you to process it. Because when you learn things, you can learn the theoretical knowledge, you then kind of apply that to yourself and then you teach it. That's when you get that it kind of ingrains into you, because I don't know if you're the same, but if I'm trying to teach something or I'm explaining something, I'll say something and there's a part of me which goes, you don't understand what you've just said. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of that processing element of being able to say or go through whatever's happening. Like you say, timeline your stuff that you went through, or offer a podcast or a bit of advice to someone else who's struggling. I think there is a massive, I think it's this it's kind of,
no, it's a transaction.
Yeah, it is a transaction. It's like the law of reciprocity is like, I do something for you, you do something for me, but that doing something for you actually just does something for me, whether I get anything back or not. And it's like,
one thing sort of on that kind of ties in. To be honest, part of starting this, I was actually struggling a lot with the fact that this helps me. And I was struggling with the fact of, am I just doing this because it helps me, or because I actually want to try and provide value to other people that would be listening or watching this? And also, I was struggling with the fact of, you've been through some shit. I don't want people, the perceived perception to be, I'm just targeting to speak to you because I know you've been vulnerable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like a weird paradox. And I was like struggling with it for a bit. And then I kind of got to that point, and the funny, Reese actually said it to me. Reese was like, mate, like, there is no selfish act. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right, mate. Like, whatever you do in the world,
Everything's self-serving.
yeah, like, like that's the bottom line of it, right? Yeah. And I just really sat there and I was like, do you know what? Like, it was after I had the episode with Reese. Like, me and Reese went and filmed it in Vicky Park. We went back to my house. We were both juiced up. We were like, this was sick. Plugged it into the telly and watched it at home. And after I watched it, I sat there and I was like, yeah, do you know what? Like, Reese feels better having this chat.
Yeah.
I feel better having this chat.
Yeah.
Whatever happens after this, as long as the person I'm chatting to feels like they got something out of it,
Yeah.
then morally, I know that it's from good intentions.
Mate, the fact that you're even thinking that is probably a good sign.
Probably,
Do you know
yeah,
what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
because most people who are doing things solely self-serving, they have zero remorse of anything.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that there's part of you even questioning that probably means it's coming from good intentions.
Yeah, probably, mate. I think I'm kind of I'm at peace with it now, and I'm just rolling with it. And there probably are going to be people out there that do think that about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And like, that's cool. This probably isn't for them.
Yeah,
So like, that's
exactly.
all right.
So this is the thing of like cutting through, like who you actually trying to help in the first place. Because there's different groups of people. There's different types of people, and people who will gravitate towards you and towards the podcast and towards this constant learning and trying to get better.
Yeah.
Those are the people you were trying to help.
Yeah.
The people that are slating it to some degree. This is why I always think whenever someone's talking bad or doing things like that, they've probably got something that they're dealing with they don't know how to deal with. So, and even though it's probably those are the people that should be listening to it, you know, you're never gonna be able to serve everyone in that sense. But I think the conversation style that you spoke about, like how you do it, there was things that even in the podcast with Reese that I was listening to that I've never thought about that. Yeah. Or it gets me thinking when he was talking about how when you're struggling with something, it's like the walls close in and everything goes tunnel. Yeah. And you need someone to be able to kind of shake you out of that or to hold you in that space because you're making decisions that you don't even realize. Yeah. And I think if you didn't have that conversation, for example, that one little nugget that I took from it, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's great, mate. And even if it does feel like you're doing it for you, if you're doing it for you, but it can also be for hundreds or millions of other people, like there's nothing wrong with
exactly.
At all.
And like, I guess quite literally, I know we both went off on one then, but like back to the bro sesh.
Yeah.
I guess for you, like as you said, like you changed careers and you wanted to find a way that you felt as if like you could like serve and help people. And I guess like this is like adding a level to that from like, okay, so now you like teach people how to train and like live a healthier lifestyle, et cetera. And then I guess to like your hack the body, hack the mind, right? It's like now you're like being able to like really bolt that on top, right? And just be full serving of like, I'm here to help you with like your emotional needs if you so desire, and obviously train you and get you fitter and stronger. And
I'm very much of the opinion that like, and this sounds really crazy because I love my training. Like anything that it's a pillar of my life to some degree, and for many a reason really. But I'll do things so like I'm reasonably strong to some degree, comparatively to kind of like your average person. Yeah. And for a lot of that drive to chase those things is really important to me. But at the same time, I don't think that training is actually that important. And what I mean by that is like when people come into class, for example, and you've got 20 people here, those 20 people have had 20 different days and are dealing with 20 different stresses, and they come in and what is actually important. And you can, I don't know if I'm similar to you and reasonably empathetic. I don't know if I can pick up on it or it's something that everyone can pick up on, but people are in there and I'm like, I don't need to correct that person's form today because they're not here for that. Like, I don't need to push that person today because they're not here for that.
Yeah.
And I think that I personally believe that this is, again, like being here in Origin and training people through classes, you see that probably the main reason people come is because in between sets, everyone's chatting. Yeah. Everyone's having a conversation. And all we wanted to do, like when James approached me with it, was create a space where people can come, kind of just get a little bit of a workout in, but again, create that safe environment where they feel like they can speak and they can open up, and it creates that support network for them. Like, I think the mental health side of the physical health is extremely important, because I think most people who get into training to some degree, it helps them with some level of their mental health stuff.
Yeah. Two things I kind of want to touch on, but firstly, I think it shows the caliber of a coach that you are, that you are able to recognize when people are in it or not.
Yeah.
And when, because I think that is, until you said it, I hadn't really thought about it, but that's probably, if I was to write a list right now of like what I think is one of the the most important things for a coach, and I don't just mean coach as in fitness, coach, whatever coach, business coach, life coach, relationship coach, whatever it is, just being able, having the skill to be able to recognize that sets you apart from everyone else. I think that's class. But also as well, like when you were talking then about, like whether fitness is like the main thing for you or not. And for me, like with sport, as I said to you before we started going, like I played ice hockey and stopped to look after my nan. I played like a good level of ice hockey since I was 6 years old, like all the way up. And when I stopped playing, I thought that I could just stop playing. And I could just stop playing ice hockey, but I needed to do something. And I quite literally didn't for 2 years while I was looking after my nan. I was trying to go to the gym a bit, but like I didn't have the time. And when I went, it was shit sessions and whatever. And then literally one of my friends, I went to like a corporate event to support one of my other friends. He has a business called Ride on Time. They sell like watches and stuff. But I went to support him at like this corporate event he had. And one of our other friends was there like filming it and creating some content for him. And my friend filming content was like, mate, like you okay? Like blah, blah. And I was just a bit down, and he probably picked up on it, but didn't say it so outright. He was like, mate, you should try running. Just like really blasé. I was like, mate, I hate running. He was like, well, all right, you can't do it then. And he was almost like egging me on a little bit. And I was like, I got home, I was driving back from Cardiff, and I was like, oh, damn, like, right. And I was like, mate, I swear down, I texted him the next day, and I was like, I'm going to go for a run tonight. And he was like, he literally just like replied, he was like, all right, didn't care. Went for a run, mate, and like ran a 3K, hated it, it was horrible, every second of it. Got back, and I was like, what a pussy, like I couldn't even run 5K. And then it literally like sent me down this path of like, this was end of October, I think. And then I was like, I'm going to run a half marathon before Christmas just to like jumpstart myself back into it. And ran the half marathon. And then since then I was like, God, like I didn't realize how much I needed physical exertion. And like when I played ice hockey, as we were saying, like it was very intense. Like Monday mornings in work, I always used to say like, people used to be like, oh, you're right, like you hungover. I'd be like, no, I got like a hockey hangover, because my body was just banged up and I was tired and like drowsy, and that's just how I used to refer to it. And then like now, like I've ran like 4 ultra marathons this year, like training for like a big ultra marathon. But weirdly, like if I run like 50K on a Sunday, I wake up Monday, it feels like I played hockey. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I needed this. Like I honestly, like people think I'm joking, but like I do not want to ever play hockey again. Yeah. Like I'm good with that. Like I've done it and I've parked it and it's on the shelf, lovely memories, cool. But like I still need that feeling 100%. For some reason.
It was the same with rugby. So like I played rugby since I was a kid, and like I'm the stereotypical got injured and that was it type thing. Like if we were in a club, I'd be chewing your ear off telling you that I could have gone pro. But I think so this is what I think it is from depending on what type of person you are, because we're very similar, having something to chase is actually really important because it gives you that, it's what it gives you back. And what it gives you back is you get structure now around your week with some level of training. And it means that even if you've had a dreadful day at work or things have gone wrong, you can go and tick off that training session, which to you is moving closer towards that goal. And when you think about emotions or you think about motivation, every time you move closer towards a goal, you get some level of positive emotion back. And I think that being able to set yourself a goal and then chase it down and then go through the process of all the struggles or doing the 3K and being like, this was dreadful. And then being able to work your way up to being able to do ultras, the process within doing that is building your character and your resilience. And that's the link that I like with from a mental health perspective, which is like, if you put your mind to something from a training perspective, you can actually get to where you want to get to. And I think from a resilience perspective, when it comes to just life stress and dealing with problems in going through like what you went through, looking after your nan and things like that, you need some level of resilience and you need some level of almost the ability to just deal with problems and suffer through stuff. And I think like that's what I get out of training a lot, is being like, I'm going to go in, this session's going to be really hard, but at the end of it, there's a reward. And I just think that I'm trying to find that within myself from a mental resilience standpoint, because like this year has been possibly one of the worst years that I've ever had from a mental health perspective. And it's definitely challenged me, and it's my training's been a constant throughout. And I think that's why I think training's important, not because of the training, but because of all of the other things it gives you.
Have you found everybody gets the days right where like, oh, I don't want to train today, I don't want to do the run? Because of the year that you've had, have you found that happening more, or have you found yourself wanting to train to escape almost? Like, because I feel like it's kind of going to go one or two ways.
Go one or two ways. I think. So I will answer, but I'm going to go on a tangent.
Yeah, go for it, man.
One of my clients he runs marathons and he wants to run ultras and stuff. So when I talk about programming for running, when I was trying to convince him to do zone work at the start, it was a real hard battle. And then we had the conversation, because like he'd be like, yeah, I'd do it, and then he wouldn't do it, and we would like it was this weird tension. And then you dig a little bit deeper, and he was like, Hacker, mate, I don't run like to get better for this zone work. I run because I need it for my head. And then it's like, okay, so that run isn't anything to do with trying to get fitter. That run is to do with that. For me this year, it's been a thing of, I really struggle with knowing that I use things as vices, because I don't want something to have a hold over me.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
But when I'm going through stuff like this, I know that after a session I'll feel better. So even though there's been times where I'll come in here and I've had 3 hours sleep, and if it was anyone else, I'd be like, don't train. But I'm not training for them to train it. I'm training because it gives me something back at this point. And I think it's really hard. I always say like, train to distress, not to distract. Because I think it's all well and good I love using training to help me with distressing and making myself feel better. But as long as I'm still doing the work outside of that. Do you know what I mean? And that's the two parts for me, is that people who are struggling with their mental health a lot of the time will find a vice of some kind. I've had a client who was anorexic and then went the opposite way and became overweight, and then got into training, then was training 2 or 3 times a day. And it's like all of these same things are just vices or just trying to keep her going. And it's like, if you could go and work on the emotional side of it and the mental side of it, like you get so much back. You don't need to use those things, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the reason I ask is because like for me, like when I started the running and I ran that first 3K, openly will admit, after my nan died, love her, I basically had like a breakdown. And I just felt weak, and I knew that I was a mentally strong person because like I'd helped my mum and my family get through it. But it's almost like I felt as if like I was like a balloon being like pumped up and pumped up and pumped up. And then when my nan died, it's like the balloon burst.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was next, like what do I do now? And when I started to run in, like I said, when I ran that first 3K, the whole time I just wanted to stop running. And it was very similar to the feeling in a way that I kind of felt with my nan. And I was like, I don't want to lose my nan, but I just want this to be over.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like a horrible, because for it to be over, I lose my nan, which obviously I don't want to happen, but she's suffering. So like and it's like a flip flop of emotions constantly. And when I did started running, that feeling was very similar. Yeah. And I think it's maybe just like my competitive nature. It was like, I need to prove to myself that I've still got that mental capacity.
Yep.
And I guess running's not the best advice because there is no end. Like I've decided I'm going to run 120K, but then what's next, right?
What's next?
But I think for me, like I'm back in a sense, like in my mental capacity. And now this is just like the goal was 120. So let's get that done, right?
So this is where the link between when you look at someone, I've used this a lot, someone who's good at running or runs a lot or just does it all the time, and people are like, oh, I really wish I could, but I can't. I'm too lazy or whatever. It's because they see those people and you're at a stage now where you're just running. You enjoy it now as something you're chasing.
Oh, mate, no, I still hate it.
Still hate it.
On my life, every run I hate it. I ran 32K yesterday, didn't want to run it at all.
Okay.
Every day I hate it.
So now what is it doing for you, do you think?
Every time that I say to myself, I don't want to run today, and I do run,
amazing.
I feel good.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean good in the sense of like the endorphin, you sort of get that to a degree and etc. But it's the fact that I could have very easily just not done it, but I did. Ties back to like when I was looking, like when my nan was at the end of her life, there were so many days where I didn't want to go and do it. I'll happily say that. I know my mum would say the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But I had to do it.
Yeah.
That was it. Like it was a non-negotiable.
I think that builds up trust within yourself, because I think a lot of people struggle with confidence, and I think a lot of the struggle with confidence comes from saying you're going to do something and not doing it.
Yeah,
so if you can engineer it in a way which is no, like I'm going to do this thing, even though every single time I don't want to. Like it's exactly the same. Every time I come in here and I've not wanted to do things, being able to just kind of pull yourself together and just be like, come on, just get in there, just warm up, just do something. I think that's the difference between strength training and endurance work. Is with endurance stuff, you can always keep going. With strength stuff, there's a point where your muscles literally will say no.
Yeah.
But with endurance stuff, it's like you're running 32K, you're at 28K, well, you could stop.
Yeah.
But it's like,
oh mate, I promise you.
Do you know what I mean?
At 22K, there was a line bike, and I very nearly got on it, mate.
Yeah. But it's that ability to go, nah, come on.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I'm trying to see, because I don't know, but I'm trying to find a link with how I can take that approach into mentally challenging things, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of just been a case of, I don't know. I think people pull strength from different places, right? Like, I unfortunately right now, I'm kind of pulling strength from sadness. And I've said this before, I don't want to forget how low I felt.
Yeah.
Because multiple things, but for one, it makes me feel good about how good, like, I've bounced back and like how good life is now, and I can appreciate the small things. And, you know, like, me and my wife, like, we're just having we got like 12 weeks left. We're having our first baby, and like we've got a dog and little things. I'm able to enjoy the joys of life because I remember how dark it was.
Yeah.
But also on those like hard runs or the days where I don't want to do it, I'm able to stand there and go, yeah, but you got through that.
Yeah.
So what, you can't go for a run today?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know whether that's a healthy way to look at it or remember it or whatever, but for me, it helps, and it's helping me move forward, and it's helping me not just progress emotionally, but in all aspects of my life. Like I can apply it to business or finance or
Mate, it's
whatever.
It's proof that if I've done that, I could do this.
Yeah.
Like it's as simple as that. I think but that is the way of building confidence within yourself and building up your own like.
It's like, I think I heard you on one of your videos say about like, you build confidence through reps. So like if you go to the gym and like you're working up to 100 kilo bench press, by doing the reps of like the smaller repetitions and slowly increasing over time, it builds the confidence that, I can lift this.
I can do that.
Like it quite literally applies everywhere, doesn't it?
And this is why, so like this is one of the things which I think, again, going back to the vices side of it, which is something that throughout this period of time, literally, I think when you go through struggles, you get to a point where all of your bad patterns and all of the things that you've learned how you've learned to survive through your childhood, all of the things you've learned through like from watching your parents do their relationship or whatever, all of those things come up when you're in a really tough place. And the way that you get through that tough place for a lot of people, like you spoke to Reese about, people doing a drink, to drugs, to anything to distract them. And I just think that I've throughout this period of time, I've been sat in the mud going, I just need to distract myself from this. And I think like I think throughout this period of time, I'm learning to sit with those emotions, to feel those emotions, and to then be like, even if this is worse, I've got through worse before. So I've got through things that I didn't think I would get through. I've been on the floor, I've been in the mud multiple times before. I know I can pick myself back up and go through this. And it's just, I think if you're someone who is going through something, and because a lot of people don't get a struggle with their mental health until they're older. And I think when you go through your first battle with it, I think at this point you need to remember that if at the moment you don't have proof that you can get through it. But you can use the proof of others, because like, and this is why this podcast is so beneficial to people, is like, I've literally been on the floor, just in a ball crying for months. Like I've been darkest places with my mental health. And it's not that the struggles in life get easier. They're different and they're harder for different reasons. But your ability to deal with them gets so much better.
Mate, I say this all the time. I think your capacity for suffering just dramatically increases. And me and my wife, like, maybe it's a bit of dark humor, I don't know, but we say this all the time, like, because that year, 2023, like, that was our wedding year. We got married that year. So it was meant to be like happiest year of our life. And it wholeheartedly, I don't want this to take away from our wedding, because that was magical, but it was the hardest year that we both went through. I lost my nan, she lost her nan. It was just not fun, right? And we, like, now when a bad day happens, we're just like, but it's not 2023.
Mate.
Right? And like, this is like years on now, and some people might turn around and be like, I'll just get over it. And it's like, well, no, but like, I'm over it to a degree, but I don't want to forget it. No. Like forgetting it like keeps me grounded. It allows me to remember where I am and where I've come from that point. And again, like that, I must have started thinking this way whilst I was in it, because I started searching for a lot of these conversations and stuff when I was like so deep into it. And I think that's what then, like, once kind of the bubble did, the balloon popped, like I said, and my nan did pass, and then Harley's nan passed, I was already on this mindset of like, I'm so dark, I'm the darkest I've ever been, but I need to get out. And at the time, there was maybe a little bit of panic. It was like, I don't know what to do, like, and almost erratic thinking of like, I need to do it now. Like, where do I go? What do I do? But that energy forced me into like, listen to this, read this, speak to this person. And I just bounced around and like One thing would be like, try journaling. One thing would be like, one thing was like, try yoga. Mate, like I stretch now.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like little things,
Yeah.
and then there was like plenty of other things that I tried and not for me.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I think, but again, being that type of person who is like, I'm gonna find the answer to this. I think that's what you've got to be. I think to some degree, I look at my parents' generation, for example, who didn't grow up in a time which mental health was spoken about or even accepted to be spoken about in the way that it is now. And I think there's so much suppression of things from that generation that they haven't been able to open that can of worms, because if they do, they don't know if it will stop. And I think that's a fear for a lot of people is,
100%.
oh, if I dive into this, I don't know if I'm coming back out.
Yeah.
But I think that's the level of bravery you need to have, because I think you're running on 40-50% of what you could be, because you're constantly got this thing in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Whereas if you could go through a year or 2 years of journaling, of therapy, of reading, of listening to podcasts, you can change your life around.
Yeah, because like it's funny you say it. Like for me, when everything happened in 2023, it almost was like a can of worms opened with a load of shit that I'd been suppressing from when I was a kid. And I just had to be really honest about a load of stuff that had happened then, and that then transferred into like my teenage years and early 20s and mid 20s. And I had to not only process everything that I was dealing with in 2023, but like I had to deal with that. And I knew that if I didn't deal with all that stuff, there was only one door I was going to go through, and it wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
And like, but it was like, honestly, like there was like multiple epiphany moments that I sort of had over like a span of like 2 years. But then once I made that decision, instantly I felt somewhat better. I hadn't fixed it, but just deciding to go down that route made me feel good.
I think that's the biggest step forward, and I think that's why I think making that decision to open the can of worms, I think is the reason why things like the podcast, things like Beyond the Chair, things like the Bro Sesh we're going to do, those will maybe plant the seed in someone's head to go and do those things. I think I've gone through a period of time in this year now where I thought I dealt with all of my stuff. I went through a big period of dealing with it when I was 18, and when I was 18, I didn't really know if I was dealing with it. I think I was just muddling my way through. About 5-6 years ago, I had another period of time where I was like rock bottom again, and went through some form of like counselling and coaching back then, and did a load of reading and thought, oh, I've dealt with it. And then this one was the one which I basically got smacked in the face and was like, you have so much stuff that you haven't still dealt with, because we all get to this level of okayness. And then it's like, well, things aren't as bad as they were, so I can just muddle through at this stage. And then it got to this point this year where I'm like, okay, so we're like now locking into, we're going to do like 2 years worth of therapy. We're going to now have the sole focus of the next 2 years. Everything else is at maintenance. The goal now is to really actually deal with these things. Because if I want a life in the future where I want a family, and I want a happy life with wife and kids, and I want a successful business, and I'm like, well, what's the one thing that's going to hold me back? It's like, me and my shit. Okay, deal with it. Like, and I think voluntarily doing that is, I think, better than, you're never going to do it if someone tells you to, so you have to voluntarily go after it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think on that, like literally on that, you know, I said to you earlier that my dog ripped up a book last night, right? The book he ripped up was A Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. And I read that, I think the week that my nan actually passed, or like the week before. And there's a bit in it right at the start, and it talks about like filling your cups. And like effectively, I think there's a bit in it where he says he went to some conference and there was like a Buddhist monk there. And effectively, the monk tells him, if you're constantly trying to pour into other cups, but you don't fill your own cup first. You've got nothing left for yourself, and there's not enough to go around for everyone else that you're trying to help. And literally, I read it, and I was just like my mind was blown, and I was just like, I feel as if I've spent so many years trying to help everyone else around me. I'm giving them so little, and there's nothing left for me.
Yeah.
No one's winning.
No one's winning.
Right?
Yep.
And I literally, like, after my nan died, I just spent, like, I'm still dealing with it now to some degree. I feel as if I'm being selfish,
Yeah.
but I'm really not, because I'm like, I feel good, I feel better. So now I'm able to help from a place of strength rather than weakness.
Well, this flips how we started the conversation, which is, I think being selfish for a period of time is the most selfless thing you can do.
Yeah.
Because if you could be the best version of yourself, think about the impact you could have on everyone else.
100%,
Whereas
yeah.
if you are, again, operating at that 40%, or you're tipping tiny amounts into other
Yeah.
people's because it's all you've got,
Yeah.
at some point you need to go, well, hang on a minute, like, if I could overflow my cup and I could just help so many people in abundance because of where I'm sat, I think having a period of time being selfish and trying to fill your cup and understand what that means for you, I think it's invaluable.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I wanted to pick up on, I think there's so many correlations between people like with mental health and not being willing to like open that can of worms and like basically like be honest with themselves to like, oh, this is a problem, I need to deal with this, no matter how small or big it is. It's just people choose not to admit it to themselves. It's very similar, I think, with people in regards to their health, like physical health. People could be, they know 100% that they're overweight, for example, and they need to make a change, and they need to go on a diet, or they need to do exercise, and they could have every single person that they've ever known or met tell them, but until they are willing to admit it to themselves, they won't make that change. Yeah. It's so funny to me how I think, like, I don't know if you've got any experience with this, I definitely don't, this is just me thinking out loud, but do you think there's any correlation between like that mindset of somebody that's maybe overweight, or it could be somebody that's dealing with debt or gambling or whatever it may be? It's like that denial of not wanting to confront it because it seems it's like the unknown of change is scarier than just staying where you are and suffering, because like what the suffer.
I think what it is if you look at obesity, for example, as the problem, you're already dealing with it wrong. Yeah. Obesity is the solution to whatever they're going through. Yeah. So like when you think about someone who's dealing with a gambling addiction or in disordered eating where they're overeating, or someone's an alcoholic, people always go, that thing's the problem. Yeah. That's the solution.
What caused them to get
get there, because they've solved a problem with that thing. Yeah. So like from my perspective, this is where I think a huge level of self-awareness and being able to reflect things back to clients or to people I work with is quite important, because if you are using something as a solution to a problem you're dealing with, this is genuinely why it's Hack the Body, Hack the Mind, because it's like, you're not going to overcome that problem unless we get into the weeds and into the mud of this and try to be like, we have to unpack this. I think the only way you can do it, or to get change in others, I think the two ways is you need to be someone who's can show that you do it to yourself. So you have to be open enough to be like, this is what I've gone through and done through. If someone comes to me, the goal is relate. Yeah. The goal is what you've been through. This is not similar, and this is not taken away from what you've gone through. I've gone through something very similar, and so I understand where you're coming from. Same as when you're in the beyond the chair, and you're like, all of these people are understanding. If you can be understanding, create a safe environment, you actually allow someone to have, there's zero judgment here. Change can then occur. otherwise you're never going to get there. That change would ever occur. And I think this is the thing of like acceptance around family members who you may see who are dealing with problems in a way that you're like, that's not healthy. Like you could change that. And if you change it from being like, from looking at that thing as the problem to go, that's the solution, you then get this relaxing moment where you're like, oh, okay, so like, that's not, I don't need to fix that.
Yeah.
There's something else that can be dealt with. Like.
Yeah. It's interesting, like super interesting. And I don't know if this sort of happens to you, but since I sort of started doing this self-work, I suppose, I now see it in so many people close to me, and part of me wants to like almost sit them down and be like, look, like this or that. Yeah. But then I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to be. Yeah. And I don't have all of my answers. Yeah. Yeah. So like it would be very like unorthodox for me to sit someone down and be like, mate, like you need to work on this. When then I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh shit.
This is the thing of the they call it like the broken therapist, which is like you got a therapist who is like helping people giving advice, but their life's in tatters. Yeah. And I think I think
it's almost like they're giving the advice to people that they need to hear themselves
to some degree. And I think it comes again. People will find this podcast when they find it. People will open up to me when they need it. And I think just being there and being ready and like being able to hold that space for people when they eventually need it and are ready, I think that's all you can do, because you can sit down and you can have interventions with people and stuff about big problems, but I still don't think that's the way to solve it, because they've got to come to the understanding that themselves that what they're doing is a problem. And I think that the only way that will happen is if you are an example of dealing with your problems. Like, I think this is the only way that, with all of the stuff that I've been through and all of the, like, I've made some dreadful decisions over this year, but the only reason I can see that people haven't been like, you're a horrible person, is because I'm going like, I just need to learn from this and try and solve it. And I'm not there in a malicious way going, no, that's like trying to back my own ego up and be like, I know this is really this. And it's like, I made a mistake. There was a problem there that I didn't know was a thing. Yeah. All I can do is learn from it. And that gives people the ability who have also gone through stuff to be like, oh, if you can change your mind, or you can work on something, or you can accept the responsibility of that, there's things that I could maybe do.
Yeah. Is there anything that you, like anything specific that you used to help you sort of start to move the needle a bit? Like obviously you spoke about journaling and therapy, and obviously we've spoken a lot about training and stuff. Is there anything else that you sort of use? I'm just interested to see if there's anything else that like I sort of have done the same.
So I think when you grow up as a man in the modern world, there's a thing called the boy crisis, and the boy crisis is basically why are men struggling in the modern day and age, and a massive part of that is like kind of absent fathers, and not necessarily the fathers that aren't there, but fathers that may be there but they may be abusive, or they may be alcoholics, or they may be dealing with whatever, so they're not actually involved in the boy's life. And with things like the boy crisis, I think you then end up having a group of men who are looking for role models from somewhere. Yeah. And those role models, a lot of the time, are going to be people you find on the internet. Like you say, you listen to a podcast and then you go down a rabbit hole. I think I probably had a couple in my life that got me to the point of being able to accept the responsibility of having to deal with my problems. And I think that the main two is, well, the Jordan Peterson and then Jocko Willink. And I think the reason I say both of those is because I read like the 12 Rules for Life. Yeah. And then Jordan Peterson's got a Maps of Meaning book. And it's one of the hardest reads I've ever read in my whole entire life. And it's like, you basically just got to study this textbook. And it's so difficult. But the lessons from that allowed me to be like, okay, I can move forward on a path towards a thing that I want. And I now understand why my life can sometimes be in tatters. And I now understand this. I think reading is, or listening to podcasts, I think is extremely important. Just having that ability to look to try and solve a problem. And I think like, if you have a big enough problem that you're trying to solve where you can accept that, I think looking for a positive male role model is, if you're a guy, I think is the best thing you can do, because to some degree you're looking for a mentor. And if that person is 10 years down the line, 30 years down the line, they're going to have learned so many things that you could then benefit from if you don't have that around you.
Yeah, I think for me it's, and this is no disrespect to anyone close to me, but I was constantly asking people for advice, to be honest, from people that I didn't want to end up where they are. So it was like, I'm asking you for advice. Like, I want to get here and you're here, and that's great. Like, you're happy and content and very pleased for you. You're like, you probably don't have the information to get me to where I want to. Now what, right? Exactly. And like you said, mate, like reading, podcasts, all these things, it just started to expand the way. It wasn't just the knowledge it gave me, but it was the way of thinking with the knowledge that they were imparting on me. And it's funny you say about Jordan Peterson, because one thing when I was like very, very low, I listened to something that he said, and it was about, because obviously he had that like very public like manic outbreak, didn't he? And when I think he was like writing a book, was he, or something? And I think he like went into a very, very, very dark place. And he says that like one thing that he did for himself, but he's done for many of his like patients and stuff over time, is just effectively write a list. And so what me and my wife were doing when we were like at our lowest, we had like a whiteboard on the fridge, like days of the week, Monday through Sunday. And it got to the point where like I and we just didn't even have the capacity or the energy to like put our washing away, or do you know what I mean? Or like vacuum the house and stuff like that. And it just felt too much and it was too overwhelming. And people, when I've said this to friends, they're like, what do you mean? You were still going to work and doing this? And it's like, yeah, like from the outside looking in, you probably thought I was good. Yeah. And it's like high functioning depression, I think is classed as. And like outside looking in, I look fine and I'll go shopping and do like this and that. But then as soon as and the door's shut and I'm at home, it's just like,
all hits you. Yeah.
Nothing left. Like I'm done. Like everything I've done today.
You've had that face on the whole day.
Yeah. And he spoke about writing the list. And for us, it literally started with Monday, put the washing away. Yeah. Tuesday, vacuum. Wednesday, do the washing up. Because we probably hadn't done the washing up for 2 days because we just didn't have it. Yeah. And stuff like that. And then over time, instead of one task per day, it was 2 and then 3. And then the complexity of the task got more. And I've heard him say before about somebody, he said he had a patient that basically like couldn't get out of bed, like severely depressed, couldn't get out of bed. And he was like, the task for day 1 is to just roll over. Yeah. Task for day 2 is to pull the sheets off you and then pull them back on. Yep. And then like he said, like he spoke about when he's dealt with people that are like they're hoarders and stuff like that. And the first task might just be look in the drawer where they're cleaning, look where the dustbin bags are, and then shut the drawer and stuff like that. And it's like, once I realized that no matter what the task is, it can be made smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And you can just break everything down to however small it needs to be until you feel, oh, I can do that. Yeah. That almost like changed my life, because like I get the impression you're probably the same sort of person. I'm spinning a lot of plates and I've got loads of different things going on. And when all of those things come together in the middle and it's like, Jesus Christ, I have a list as long as my arm with all these things and I don't know what to do, it gets very overwhelming. Yeah. And part of me just still wants to go, nope. Yeah. But then we systemize it. I write everything down on the whiteboard on the fridge. then I wake up in the morning and I go, oh yeah, I can
what
get that
we've
done
said,
today.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. But this is why I think there's a massive, like, again, like a lot of people are just simply unorganized because like that level of breaking tasks down and doing the easiest possible thing you can do for the day is giving you that little win. I think that's part of the reason why people are like, make your bed in the morning. And it's because like there's some level of discipline to that, but it's also proof that you can do things that you say you're going to do.
Yeah, I think it makes you feel proud, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, like I've done the thing I said I was going to do. I think there's this tough state of being compassionate to yourself when you are struggling. To be like,
I do need a day off today.
Today's not the day.
Yeah.
And then I struggle with being the two parts of me, which is rest.
Yeah.
And then the other part of me, which is get off your ass, get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I think if you seem similar, and if anyone listening is similar, I think having some level of structure allows you to, or having some level of just to-do list of these basic things allows you to calm that bit of you a little bit.
Yeah. And I think for those days where you're like, have I done enough?
Yeah.
Having something to visually look at and be like, oh, actually, we've done all of this today.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I can just sit and watch a film tonight. We're good.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? And like, okay, some days you might have a deadline and you've got to push and whatever, and that's fine. And I think that very much, I feel, feeds into a lot, and I'd love to get like your view on this, but we spoke a bit before this about sort of the view of a modern man and what is a modern man and that sort of thing. And I'm always very conflicted when I say this because it is a bit of a sensitive, touchy subject, but I think it's great that we're able to sit here. I don't know you. We've just met like an hour ago or whatever, and we can have this chat and just be honest and whatever and learn from each other. And that's amazing. And you can go to Beyond the Chair and I can cry my eyes out in front of a load of blokes that I don't know and whatever. That's cool. And that's great. And I definitely think that is needed in society. But I definitely also do still firmly believe that some days blokes have just got to get their boots on and go get it done.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know whether it's an age thing or what, I feel like we're kind of in that middle.
Yeah, we are.
And I feel like there is a pendulum that seems to swing very far either side of it. And there are people that are just all emotion, no action.
Yeah.
And there are people that are all action, no emotion.
Yeah. I think it's exactly those two groups. I think it's people that are, I think probably the way it is you have group one, which is a bunch of avoidant men who suppress all of their emotions, don't talk, who probably end up listening to the red pill movement, listening to Andrew Tate and being like, your wife should be submissive, you should be an alpha, money and girls is the only thing which gives you status, and that's being a man, and work yourself to the bone and you're now a human doing, not a human being type thing. And then you have a group of people which are like super soft, super lazy, like have no drive, no get up and go, no ability to push past problems and push past things. And I think who can be open, these are probably anxious attached men who are like scared all the time and probably aren't that confident, probably need to learn to be a bit more assertive. And I probably fall in that category a bit more.
I think I probably do as well, yeah.
And I think there should be a third. And I think it's because like these people over here, the anxious attached people, should probably be listening a bit more to the red pill stuff. Yeah. Get a little bit more something to go. And the group over here, the avoidant people, should probably be like, you can open up a little bit. Like, it's all right. Don't suppress it because you'll die of a heart attack when you're 60. Like, And I just think that I think there needs to be a third group, which is the state of modern men. I think times are changing because I think women are now in a position where they can earn the same, if not more, than their partner. And the standard traditional way of things has always been the man will go out and work, earn enough money to provide and support a family. And I think men have that baked into them. which is they want to either support or they want to be able to like provide or they want to be able to protect.
Yeah.
And I think with women being able to make the decision now, which I genuinely think is amazing because everyone gets their own choice of what they can do. Men seem to be left in this limbo state of being like, well, what's my purpose now? What's the point of me doing anything? And I think that feeds into this kind of this group of men which are nihilistic and think the world's meaningless and nothing's important and there's no point in me doing anything. And I think the only way I think you can start to create a perfect modern man is actually super difficult, because women want someone who is emotionally available and emotionally intelligent, but they want someone to some degree who can provide and protect, and they want someone who can do all of these things. And for most men, it's like, well, if she wants that, I will be that. I will try my best to be that.
Yeah.
And when you've got people like Andrew Tate with girls all around him, but leading this red pill movement of like, well, you need to be like this and like this. You've got a bunch of blokes being like, well, I now don't know, because I'm supposed to be emotionally intelligent and supposed to be in touch with my emotions, but I'm also supposed to be emotionless. So then what do you do? And I just think I think there's so many different types of men. I can call a mate of mine. If I need to be kicked up the ass, I'll call George and be like, mate, and he's like, mate, stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
If I need to be understood, I'll call Charles and he's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. If I need someone to remind me of how good I am, I'll call Aaron. And I think having different types of men is super, super important. And I just think that men are struggling now because what purpose do a lot of them have? And I think there is that thing of, you need to find one. You need to find a mission that you can chase, and you need to just try to be the best version of yourself. Because I think, again, that selfish act of trying to be the best version of yourself, being kind, being empathetic, being able to sit with your emotions and understand them, but being able to be strong enough to push through on the days where you are in the mud.
Yeah.
Like, I think is important. There's been so many times in this place where I've come in and you got classes of 20 people and I'll come from the disabled toilet crying. I've just cried for 10 minutes. I literally, I'm not even joking. I've had periods of time where I've gone into the toilet, I've set a 5-minute timer on my phone, I've cried, the timer's gone off, I've stopped, wiped my eyes, come back in, no one knows. And I think that's the closest I can get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, mate. On that though, that last point that you made, you've come out and you've cried and no one knows. For me, I think that is the most worrying thing about society, is the fact that so many people are so silently suffering and nobody knows. And that's just what got me, man. I was fucking so low. And like I said, I go to work, go do everything. And mate, I was in my manager's office at work multiple times, crying my eyes out. And my company just nothing. And that was me asking for help. So what's it like for the people that don't have, I don't want to call it, whatever I had that allowed me to go in and be that open and vulnerable? I'm worried for the people that can't do that. Yeah. That's what...
This is why I think, I know it sounds really stupid, but the reason I'm so open about it is because I can come in here and squat 200 kilos, right? And I've built a physique which some people are impressed by. From that, being a man who is
physically strong.
I think it's the only thing that I've understood that can, by speaking about my emotions, it's well, hang on a minute, there's this contrast here between someone who is trying to build a business, who's trying to who works out hard, but is also really emotional, who's really in touch with his emotions and stuff like that. And I think again, it's just the only thing you can do is lead. I think if you want to change the world, you change yourself.
Yeah,
and I think just being open with stories around what you're going through, I think it's the only way you'll allow other people to do it. I think the whole reason I got into this was because I'd have conversations with, like, I'm the person people call when they're having a tough time.
Yeah.
And because I'm that person, I was like, well, I could do this and help actual loads more people.
Yeah.
And I think I'm afraid that one day I'm going to get a phone call from a mate saying that one of our other mates is taking their own life. I've had it already, and I don't want it to be someone I'm not expecting, you know?
Mate, truthfully, this is, that exact phrase was a big reason why I basically got the courage to film the first episode with Reese, because this year I've had 2 friends openly tell me that they've tried to take their own lives, and I've had 2 friends confide in me that they've like seriously thought about it, but somebody stopped them before they had the chance to do it. And these are people, I want to be careful what I say, because in case anyone I know watches this, but these were people that had invites to my wedding. They were like that close to me. And that petrified me, because I was like, probably, again, I think similar to you, like, I would like to think I'm the person that, or my phone's all, like, I'm always going to answer. If somebody rings me and they need something, like, I'm good, bro. Like, I got you. Like, it's sweet. Like, if you really need me, like, everything I got going on is sweet. No biggie. And like, they didn't.
Yeah.
And not that they should only ring me. Like, whoever they need to ring, right? But it's the fact that they didn't. And that worried me. And I was like, you know, like podcasts, these conversations, me listening in, helped me.
Yeah.
Gave, like we've said many times, like gave me little bits of something that led me down. Like one phrase might have just given me 1%. Yeah. But it's like you stack that over time, all of a sudden
I think it's what you said there, which is, it's unfair to take on the responsibility of you can't call your mates every 2 minutes. Yeah. I had conversations with my mates in the pub. We're arguing because I was like, if you're struggling, you have to call me because I don't know. Yeah. I've got my own stuff going on. Like, we all have our own lives going on, but like, if you call me and you're struggling, I'll be at your house in 5 minutes. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is luck when it comes to stuff like this. I had a moment, it may have been March this year, that without my sister randomly messaging me, I don't know if I would have been here. Yeah. And I think having people that you can speak to and people who will always be there. So one of the things I did when I first went through my first bout of like real depression, and I went for a period of time where like I tried to take my own life like 3 times. I messaged all of my closest friends and I was like, if I'm struggling, can I text or call you? And I basically had all of their responses as my lock screen. Oh, mate, yeah. Because I was like, I know that when I'm in that headspace, the thing is with like depression and suicide and stuff like that is it's almost imagining there's you, and then it's the big black dog thing. There's this thing here which is basically trying to isolate you, trying to tell you you're not good enough, and trying to tell you you're a burden, and that the world would be better off without you. Like I back in March, one of the sentences I wrote, and this is why it's so hard, is because when you're in that mindset and you're in that headspace, I literally wrote the sentence which was, I think the only way I'll be valuable is if I take my own life. And when you have that mindset, or that's where you're at in your life, I think you need something immediately there that can be like, mate, look at these responses. Like, you have to reach out now. Yeah. And it's like, and I just.
Did you reach out?
I was very lucky with my sister being there. I laugh about it purely because when I think back to it, they're also confusing moments. Like the one this year with my sister was, she lives in Oz, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning here, and I think it was like 8 or 9 p.m. over there. And at this point, I'm like, I've drank like half a bottle of whiskey. I'm like, I'm ready. It is as ready as you could be for something like that. And she messaged me and she was like, oh, like, she got me on phone with my friends. Oh, how come you're at home? How come you're not in work? And like, I read it, didn't respond. And then she messaged again. She was like, is everything all right? She was like, try to FaceTime me. And I was like, look, I can't speak on the phone. Like, I just can't. She was like, that's fine. I'll just message you. And she messaged me for about an hour until I was ready to FaceTime her. And then she FaceTimed me. And then we spoke for an hour. And it pulled me out of it. And I think this is why things like Beyond the Chair, this podcast, the Bro Sesh thing, hopefully, is the prevention, or at least getting people to know that there's somewhere they can go. There's outlets, there's people who do care about you. Like, I think, and I think understanding, for me, a massive part of where I get my self-worth from is really important, because a massive part for me is I've always got my self-worth and my confidence from the relationship and the partners that I had. And when me and my girlfriend broke up, it did not matter that everyone else in my life loved me, because I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And me understanding that allows me to be in a place where it's like, oh, okay, like you're actually getting your confidence and self-worth solely from that one person. Like, you need roots so strong in the ground, and you need to know who you are from so many different points, and you need to know your strengths and why you are worth something, because having all of your self-worth tied up in one thing, this is why the Tyson Fury effect of win the heavyweight championship and then is depressed, is because that's the sole thing that gives you purpose. And it's a very scary path.
Yeah. They say it the same as well, don't they? Like with the gold medal effect of like Olympic athletes. Mate, thanks for chatting about that though. Like, I know that's not easy, and honestly, truthfully, I don't even know where to go with it. I don't want to pretend to get that, because I don't. And I just hope that, by you being honest about that and open about it, somebody somewhere hears that, and unfortunately they do relate. But I hope it helps them, and I hope it helps you talking about it as well.
That was the moment. The next day, one of my clients, a clinical psychologist, spoke to her. I was like, I need to arrange a therapy appointment with someone. So like, we literally, like, within the next 2-3 days, I was booked in to go to therapy, and that process had started.
Sick,
and
mate.
That's all I would say, is that, like, when like you said on the Reese's podcast, everyone's rock bottom different, right?
Yeah, I think it's a feeling. I don't think it's a place. It's you feel it. You feel.
You know.
Yeah, and as you said at the very beginning of this, I think your rock bottom, whatever my rock bottom was for me, it can and could have been worse than that, but that was me at that time.
Yeah.
And probably same for you, like over your lifetime, like you've had
multiple
different rock bottoms, right? And unfortunately, to some degree, because as we said, our capacity increases, rock bottoms get darker and darker. But hopefully, as we spoke about for this whole time, you do the work and you get the tools, and you learn it, and you be honest with yourself about why you were struggling in the first place.
Yeah.
So then that next time, you're not starting from zero again. No. You're starting from 80% or whatever.
And it's the bounce back's quicker. So that's the thing that I've found, is that, like, the bounce back's been, I've gone maybe 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, like, zero suicidal thoughts. And
Amazing, man.
yeah, and it's like, but you've just got to be in that place where you hit rock bottom, and you've got to be the type of person, like, or you've got to just be willing to be like, okay, like, I need to solve this problem. This, like, if this is going one way, there's two paths you can take.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's not an option. So how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
And you have to figure it out somehow. Like,
yeah, I think as well, like, that drive, again, I can't speak for if there's any women listening to this, I can't speak for you. Like, I just don't know. But I think for men, that drive is there. It's there in all of us. I think it's like in our DNA. And as we said about the pendulum earlier, there's sort of one group of people that are very emotional and soft, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And there's another side of people that are extremely hard and even aggressive, maybe.
Yeah.
We all have that, but you've just got to be willing to find it in yourself. Yeah. And you know, I played ice hockey my whole life, and like, I'm not naturally an aggressive person, but I can be.
You got to flick that switch.
Yeah, right. I can be, and for me, like, I think sport is powerful, especially for kids.
Yeah, I think so.
But like, sport teaches you this. If you are naturally on the softer side of that scale, sport can really teach you how to tap into those triggers or whatever you need. And like, for me, like, when I was low and dark and depressed, I had to every now and then flick that switch myself and make myself angry.
Oh, mate, yes.
Because otherwise that day I wasn't moving forward. And other days, aggression definitely wasn't the right answer. Yeah. And I needed to be softer with myself. Yeah. And I feel, I don't know if you do now, but I feel very almost confident in myself that when I get back to that place, because I'm not naive to think that life is just going to be smooth sailing from now on.
I was.
Right? But again, that's a part of the journey, right? Part of learning, right? And when that time comes, I feel better equipped to deal with me now.
Yeah.
And weirdly, thankfully, I think, I know better how to help my wife now, because what she needed was very different to what I needed. And I was doing things for me, and I was like, try this helps me, and try it. And she was like, all right, fine, I'll try it. And she was like, nah, not helping me, making me feel worse. And I was like, what do you mean? Right?
This has solved my problem.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, like with my mum, like, my mum was the same as me. Like, she was struggling a lot. And my mum's a big reader, but my mum loves reading like old like war stories and stuff like that. And I'd be like, Mum, like, read this book, and like, mate, like, I read like a David Goggins book. You know, like, he's been through some shit, and like, he's got that like aggressive motivation, right? And my mum is very, if you know her, she demands a room. She's got a big character, and I was like, read Goggins. Literally, I like read the last page and went to her house, and I was like, read this book.
Read Goggins right now. Yeah.
And she was like, why do you want to read this? And I started telling her about it, and she was like, oh shit, yeah. And like, do you know, but again, it's like, kind of know your audience, know yourself, know what works for you, know what doesn't. But I think ultimately, it's just all trial and error.
It's all trial and error, and just try to understand which group you're probably in, because like, if you're in the group which suppresses everything and doesn't deal with their emotions, you probably need to learn to be able to open up a bit more. And maybe that's the CPD you have to do.
Yeah.
And like, if you're a bit softer and you're struggling with motivation, you're struggling with discipline, you're struggling to get yourself up.
Maybe go to a boxing class or something.
Like maybe read Goggins. Like, genuinely, do something that kicks you up the ass and gets you going. And I think
on that as well, whatever side you're on and whatever you need to do, the first step is fucking hard.
Yeah, mate.
Do you know? And you won't want to do it, like, at all. But when you do, you will feel some form of achievement and respect for yourself, I think. And like, it's just that first quarter turn of a wheel, and then I think that
you're no longer
it
hiding.
feeds.
You're no longer hiding. And I think everyone's goal should to be closest to be the person that they truly are. I think everyone should try and get closest to being the person that they truly are. And I think we have so many fears and so many things that stop us from doing that. And I think just making that first step is going to get you closer to being that person. You know?
Yeah, I agree, mate. It's been fun, man.
It's been great.
It's been like therapy for me, man. Thank you. Mate, I'd love to chat in like a month or so after like all the sessions are going, just see how they.
Definitely.
I might have to come down to one, you know.
Yeah. We'll our first one's next week. So
yeah, sick.
Excited.
Yeah, buzzing. How does it work? Do you have to be like a member? Is it sign up? How does all that work?
At the moment, we're running it just solely in house, and then we'll see what the uptick is.
Yeah.
And then from there, we probably will make it more of a public thing. Like to start with, we wanted to just make sure that like we have.
I guess you have to figure out the product.
Figure it out. Yeah. Make sure that like it works. Make sure we can run it correctly. Make sure like people feel safe within it, and then we can start to see where it goes from there. Yeah,
it's good though, man. I'm excited. I think it genuinely will help people, and mate, at the very least, it'll help you. And is it James, the guy?
Yeah. We joked, and I was like, everyone was like, "What's it going to be like?" I was like, "It's going to be me talking about my emotions to James." I was like, "That's going to be it." And we're going to do some bicep curls.
Yeah. Well, mate, if that's what you need, that's what you need. Mate, this has been fun. Thank you.
Nah, mate, genuine. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sick.